call HALALYAM YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM or QADASH. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and teach well, orderly and fervently to the Spirit. To the Akim, my fellow laborers, risking their lives and freedom to push this word out in truth and sincerity. To the Akim, YAHAWAH, listening and learning, being doers of the word and abiding in the faith. And to the speckled birds scattered abroad that look like the other nations but are truly Yasharallah through the Spirit. Shalom wa barakatam. This is your brother RAWCHAA, and I want to do a quick lesson, a quick little video on some pretty much some gay shit that I'm seeing. People talking about how, people want to say that, oh, I knew I was gay since I was a kid, or I knew I was attracted to boys, or women want to say I knew I liked girls, I knew I was attracted to girls when I was like 8 years old. And they are making it a point to say that they knew what their sexual orientation was. They knew who they wanted to engage in sexual activity with which gender they wanted to have sexual activity with, since before they even hit puberty. Mind you, they'll argue with like pedophiles, because that's what the shit leads to. That's the pipeline. The LGBT plus to pedophilia pipeline. That's what it is. That's how they're getting involved. That's how this shit is arising in the first place. So they'll argue with pedophiles, MAPs, minor attracted persons, all day about how kids, they don't know anything. You can't do that. That's not. But you are saying that you knew since even before you hit puberty. You were a child. Okay? How does that make sense? Okay? That's inconsistency, and that just shows you that they're both degenerates. But one is more openly accepted, so they're trying to argue for their degeneracy. But now we're seeing more and more how the other degenerates are being able to do what they're doing too. Okay? To the point where it's probably going to get legalized. I in a sense, it is. They don't have to register as sex offenders in California or something like that. But yeah, so I want to go into the scriptures about how pretty much that's complete bullshit. And that also reminds me of because we know that the way Yahawadah created everything, he created everything objectively good, right? The natural use of everything is objectively good. Okay? But mankind has turned these things. I'll start with this, right? So Sirach 39 and 26, right? The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. Okay, so when it comes to the things that were created, like all the things that the scriptures just listed, the principal things for the whole use of man's life. Also going into the herbs, right? Perfect example, weed. Okay, they say marijuana is a herb that bears seed. Okay, how this is for good to the godly, the Lord said, every herb bearing seed is for meat, is for your is for food. How do we use herbs? Medicine, teas, foods, soups, whatever. Okay? How is it turned to evil? How is it turned into evil for sinners? Growing it, cannabis, marijuana dispensaries, smoking it, rolling it in a blunt, and smoking it, inhaling it into their lungs, getting high, you know? So you look at something like sex, okay? It's for good to the godly because the natural use of a man and a woman coming together of two people, right? The natural use of two people coming together and, lusting for each other, because, it's not necessarily a sin just to lust in general, right? But it has to be under the proper conditions, right? So two people coming together and having sex is a man and a woman. That's the natural combination. That's the natural everything. They procreate. They go get fruitful and multiply. Okay? And I just want to, let's just keep it at a basic, quick and coherent level. How is that turned into evil for the sinners? They start to give in to the lust of their flesh, like, oh, well, what if we did this? Or let's call the male prostate, a G spot. Which to call your prostate a G spot when the prostate has its natural use, it has its natural purpose, right? That's literally propaganda. That's literally an agenda to sexualize and justify homosexuality, sodomy, okay? And this is scientific fact. You can look this shit up. Don't take my word for it, like the brother said, okay? It's turned into evil for the sinners because, like the scriptures say, they're burning in their lusts one to another, okay? And like the whole I saw a tweet, somebody said, I was already attracted to females when I was like 8 years old. I didn't even know what sex was. But then he also said there's no connection between sexual orientation and wanting to have sex. So how does that make sense? Because sexual orientation, right, whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, that's literally, that is that determines what, which gender you want to have sex with. How is that not inherently sexual? So how does it make sense that you knew from the age of 8 that you were attracted to females, but at the same time you want to say that there's no connection between being gay or straight and wanting to have sex? That's the whole point of you saying you knew. When the reality is, naturally, the natural thing is, look, regardless of how you feel, it's supposed to be men and women. That's how BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI set it up. Your flesh may have these wicked thoughts, wicked curiosity, right? Which that's the first verse I had it on in Ecclesiastes 7, verse 29. Lo, this only have I found, that YAHWAH and YAHWASHI hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. All right, just like how we read in Sirach. Okay, the natural good things are turned into evil because they're seeking out many inventions. They're being lustful. They're being given over unto their lust and doing things that is unseemly, doing wicked, abominable acts, and lying about it, saying that I knew I was gay since way. They lied about the damn gay gene, because there ain't no damn gay gene. Okay. How does that make sense? Unless you were introduced or maliciously groomed, or molested or something like that. There's no way that your child mind, right? When you were a child, there's no way you knew what anything to do with sexual attraction was. What you did like, right? You liked the individual. Ain't no I liked, well, when it comes to Jake, it's just in us. Okay. But in general, just speaking to the point so that you can understand, no child is like, yeah, I'm attracted to girls, or like I like girls, or I like boys. There's no child that knows that at that stage. Okay? No child knows their sexual orientation or even what sex is before they hit puberty. If you say you like someone, that means you like the individual because they were your friend or they were cool with you or whatever. But you didn't know that you were attracted. You didn't know that you were heterosexual. You didn't know that you were homosexual. And it don't really have nothing to do with knowing. That's some shit that you choose to do anyway. That's not something that's like in you for the most part. I'll say for the most part because again, when it comes to Jake, it is, that's naturally in us. Jake males are attracted to females. Okay. And I'm gonna say this honestly, from my observations, Edomite men are like kind of natural homosexuals. I'm not, I said that before, and I'm gonna still stand on that. But yeah, just to stick to the point to make sure that so not speaking as a man, but speaking objectively, like ain't no child knows that. Okay, so these people are lying, and they're trying to justify their lust. So what I was gonna say earlier was that it reminded me of how I had accidentally ate clam chowder at work, and I took a couple bites, and I was like, "What the hell? What is this?" And Jake was like, "Oh, that's not chicken, that's clam." And I spit the shit out and I threw it away. And then they were like, "Oh, well, you was eating it, weren't you? It was good, huh?" I'm like, "Nigga, just cause something tastes good, so what?" Okay? It would feel, I can't even say it, but it'd feel good to be those hunters instead of them fishers right now. I'll just say it like that. Brothers can catch my drift. Does that mean that that's the right thing to do right now? Does that mean that that's okay? No. Okay, and that's the problem with people, is that they think that whatever makes them feel good that's right, when that couldn't be any further from the truth. Okay? But that shows you what? They obey the lust of their flesh. They walk in the flesh. They don't walk in the spirit. This is Romans 8:13. For if ye live after the flesh, which is what that represents, which is what all these weirdos, Alphabet Gang, Transformers and Decepticons, and Jakes that indulge in abominable foods, represent. They represent fleshly living. Okay, for if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the flesh, mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. Okay, because the thing is, us being in this flesh right now, this is a punishment. Speaking to the Israelites, because the heathens are just off. The sons of the wicked being Esau, Edom, and the sons of man being the heathens, the natural Gentiles. They are mortal. They're mortal men. They're not meant to be righteous. It's not in them. But for Israel, our people, it is in us. We are inherently a spiritual people. We be having the spirit, Jake be having that that conscious, that which is your spirit, right? Telling them, no, nigga, this is wrong. You know, I shouldn't be doing this, but what does Jake do? I'm gonna do it anyway. They ignore this. They ignore the spirit. They ignore the innate spirituality within them. You know, steering them in that correct path, and they want to go follow the multitude to do evil. They want to do whatever makes them feel good. They want to follow Babylon's philosophies and ideologies. Okay? So us being in this flesh, like Yahawashi said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So the flesh wants to do things that you shouldn't do. Things that will just make the flesh pleased. But the spirit within you, because the flesh is constantly warring after the spirit wants to do right. Apostle Paul spoke about that in Romans. Okay. Hey, I have this article, right? Going into the 6 dangers of anal sex as per gynecologist from TNN. Last updated on June 1st, 2023. And this is just something I found, but there's more. There's more on it. What people will say, well, there's precautions that you can take. There's a way to practice safe sex. That goes for men and women too. That goes for heterosexual relationship. No, it doesn't. I'm sure brothers can attest to the fact that when they were younger, maybe you were in the world, but you didn't have to take no precautions when you did your thing with your girlfriend at the time or whatever. Jake didn't know nothing about that. The worst that would happen was pregnancy. But other than that, there wasn't no crazy shit going on. Even if you didn't know what you were really doing, you guys just took it slow and then that was it. But if you're a damn F word, then you got to do hella research. You got to get what? Lube, as they call it. You get done, the nigga crying, he can barely walk straight. There's a couple dudes I see on the plantation that they walk funny eternally now. Like, you can tell that they're moes. They walk very weird. And you can tell. You can just tell. Okay? Why every time you talk to someone gay, they're like, they get to revealing certain things and you find out that they were molested when they were younger, or they were, assaulted sexually, and now they're gay. Something's not right. Okay? Something's not right. So I'm gonna just go over these real quick just to show you how the scriptures say, look, if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. Now the Lord don't need to go in all the fine details. Just like brothers always go into the example of being circumcised on the 8th day, according to the law. The Lord didn't need to tell us that vitamin K is released, allowing the blood to clot and the circumcised member to heal faster on the 8th day. The Lord didn't need to tell us that. Okay, but that's what it is. Same thing for this. If you live after the flesh, ye shall die. If you eat too much pork, for example, your arteries are clogged. You're going to get a stroke. You're going to get all types of messed up. You got all types of bullshit in your body. Everything that the pork ate, that the swine ate, which swine eats any damn thing. Anything. You're going to have worms in your freaking intestines. You're going to get freaking sick. You're going to get cancer. You're going to get all messed up. That's a very real consequence. But YAHAWASHI didn't have to tell you worms is going to grow in your freaking intestines, nigga. All you had to do was listen to him and not eat pork. shrimp, crab, lobster, so on and so forth. Follow the dietary law. The Lord didn't need to tell you, look, if you are a Mo, if you engage in unnatural lust and you do sodomy, or women want to do lesbianism, y'all going to contract a whole bunch of diseases. Well, let's read. So, number one, why anal sex is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Despite the fact that anal sex is illegal in India, a growing population is trying it the backdoor way. Call it curiosity to try new things or the recklessness of sexual repertoire. One can't deny that anal sex is not only unnatural, but it also carries multiple risks with it. Okay? So even these damn Elamites, East Indians know. Curiosity to try new things, seeking out many inventions, like the scripture said. Okay? Number two, the risk of tears. Because anus, unlike vagina, is not meant for intercourse. It is not elastic in nature to accommodate a penis. I mean, women can deliver children. Okay, you clearly there's a purpose for that. What are you doing? That's what I would always wonder, even as a child, not as a child, but even as a younger man, in the world, before I came into the truth. I'm like, what is the point of gay people? Like, what does that do? That bears no fruit in any way. You can't have a child, that does nothing. That's not procreation. How does that do anything? That's no purpose to it. It's literally just a desire, something that you just want to do out of the lust of your flesh. There's no purpose to it. That's why it's unnatural. And in fact, it's self-harm. So tears, man. Also, it is meant for one-way passage and not the other way around. So when you indulge in anal sex, your rectal tissue in the anal passage is meant to suffer tears. Number three, tears translate into STIs, right? You tear your freaking... Hey, you get a cut on your hand. Your body is trying to... if you don't clean that shit, or if you expose it to stuff, that could get infected. You need to, clean up the wound, dress it, whatever, and make sure you take care of it, and be careful with your hand, and your body will form a scab to heal it and all that. You get a tear on your anus, okay, you're still walking around, you're still sitting down, you still gotta drive, go to work, okay, you still gotta poop with that nasty ass fecal matter coming out your backside. That's just disease waiting to happen. So it said tears translate into STIs, sexual transmitted infections. When there are tears in your rectal cavity, the odds of contracting STDs are very high. These include diseases such as rectal gonorrhea, HIV, and chlamydia. Anal activity can also transmit human papillomavirus. Verse number 4. I said verse 4. Number 4, HPV is very dangerous. There's over 40 strains of HPV, some low risk and some high risk. If the person you are having sex with had strains of HPV, which that's another thing, the alphabet community is extremely hypersexual, extremely promiscuous. So they're spreading it all around. And guess what? So-called black men are the highest. They got the highest rates of STDs, of any kind of like diseases, sexual diseases. The top ones is so-called black men. Most affected by that shit. Gay so-called black men. If the person you are having sex with has strains of HPV, the chances of which are very high, as about half heterosexual men may have it. It can lead to various infections. HPV can cause anal warts and even cancer of the something. Okay, and you can go on and see this stuff Screening of these STDs is difficult. Fecal incontinence, pain and bleeding, and I think the article ends there. But I guess I'll leave it in the so this is Romans 1, I'll read Proverbs 16:2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Okay, so it may seem, like the scriptures also say, there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. Okay, so whatever you may view as okay, you may see it as a good thing. You may think, oh no, it's not a big deal. Love is love and blah, blah, blah. Pride. I mean, it's all pride. That's very fitting for them. That's a very fitting slogan or word or representation of who these people are. All right. Now Romans 1:26. For this cause the Most High gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. Okay. And Sirach 39, well, I read that already. Okay, so that was pretty much it. Oh, Romans 7:18. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. Going back to how just because something feels good to you, that's just your flesh. That don't mean that it's right. Okay, and us being in this, we're in chains of darkness. Ain't nothing good gonna come out of obeying your flesh. Obey your thirst. Just do it. All this wickedness that this society pushes. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. Right? The only way you're going to find to do that which is good is to obey the Spirit. Right? If YAHAWASHI bestows his RAWCHAA QADASH, Holy Spirit, upon you. Otherwise, you're a dead man walking, which is the majority of these people. So I'll go ahead and end it right there. I pray the lesson was edifying, exhorting, and uplifting to the Spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. The YAHAWASHI, Kaya RAWCHAA QADASH bestowed upon me to bring out this lesson and push forth this word. Keep pushing, keep praying, keep fasting, keep enduring, keep striving for the truth unto death, and YAHAWASHI shall fight for thee, and keep abiding in the faith. DTA, Abad Babal, Kwam Yashrala, stay strong, we're most home. Shalom, Abarakiam, Lahabakariam, meaning peace and blessings to the elect. YAHAWASHI, may be a part of that number. Ahavatham, may the blessing of election be upon all your households, and blessings, honor, glory, and power be unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, Tamyad, Wallah, Walamim, always and forever. Shalom.